Welcome to this video about accessing and interpreting a Turnitin report for internal examiners and for supervisors. The first thing to do is to go into Mole and find the organisation space. In there you'll see a link called EDU Turnitin for Doctoral Theses. Click that. That will take us into this window, and here you'll see there are two folders that refer to submission points. There's a draft Turnitin submission point and a final submission point. You should go to whichever one is appropriate. If you're looking for a final report, then go to the final submission point. If you're looking for a draft report, then go there. I will illustrate by going to the final submission point. So I shall click on that, and then I'll click on View Complete. The next thing is to find the word Messages near to the top right and to click on that, and then on Assignment Inbox. There will be a list of students' names, and the thing to do now is to find the student's name that you're looking for and click on the percentage figure under the similarity column heading. I will illustrate this with Jackie Gresham's thesis. Jackie has kindly given permission for me to use her thesis for illustrative purposes. And what we get then is Jackie's name, the title of her thesis, and underneath her column headed similarity there's a number, and it's on there that we need to click in order to open up the originality report. Now it can take a little while for that to appear. It opens up in one of two presentational formats. This is one of them, which is called a document viewer version, and this is actually the useful version, the document viewer, because it preserves the format from the original thesis, which means we can see things like indented quotes. I will show you the alternative one just in case your report happens to open in that other one, and then we'll see how to get back to this more useful one. So in order to get to the other one, I'm going to click on the bottom right where it says text only report. That will open what is actually quite a small file, but it gains in compactness at the expense of, as you'll see in a minute, losing the original format. So here we are. It shows the match text in color and in white paragraphs, but it just strings all the text together, and it's not, in my view, quite as easy to check it. Some people may prefer this version, others will prefer the other. I'm going to go back to Document Viewer by clicking this button near the top left. And that takes us back to the previous view, and again match text will be shown in color. It's just downloading there, and there we are. Now you'll see straight away that there's some match text, like the phrase learning and teaching in higher education, which is almost inevitable. Same on this page. That sort of phrase is almost certainly going to have been used elsewhere in some documents that are in the Turnitin database, and it makes no sense to dwell on those. Similarly, I would like to thank my colleagues and so on. These are small and what we might call insubstantive matches. Insubstantive in the sense that they don't contribute to the originality of the thesis or the work. I'm going to scroll down fairly quickly until we get to something that doesn't fall into that category, and this is what the internal examiner would do, looking through just to see if there's anything that might cause concern regarding originality. So when I get down a little lower here, in fact, you'll see there's a longer passage of text. It's in brown. there's no particular significance about the colour, only that it is in colour, which tells us that it's matched. But the thing about this one, as you can see clearly, is that it's in quote marks and the source has been quite clearly stated here, including the paragraph. So the matched text is appropriately sourced, cited. Okay, I'll carry on down, and in a little while we'll get to an indented part, which is a longer quote. So obviously we see a big chunk of colour there, but again it's shown in quote marks. Actually it didn't need quote marks there because it's indented, but it has, and so there's no question that that has been cited appropriately. We've got the reference and we've got the page number, and that's really what the internal examiner needs to check. If everything falls into one of these two categories, either routine and insubstantive, or matched but properly cited, then there's no problem. The question arises, what does the internal examiner do if there's some matched text that doesn't fall into those two categories? And I think, again, one might divide this into two distinct types. There may be some occasions where there are short passages of matched text that are not adequately cited, and that in the internal examiner's view should be. But if those are, shall we say, few and far between, or short, or look as if they're just slips, maybe the actual reference is mentioned on the page but the writer hasn't mentioned it again a second time in a short space of the page, perhaps because they feel that would interfere with his style or whatever, well, that kind of query could be followed up in the viva. And if the internal examiner felt that it was appropriate to have those passages shown as quotes or otherwise sourced, then they would fall into the general category of minor corrections. On the other hand, any matched text that doesn't fall into that category begins to become a cause for some concern. It doesn't mean that unfair means have been used, but it does mean that there is a case for further checking. And what the university requires at that stage is for the case to be passed on to or referred to the Director of Teaching and Learning in the department, and that person will then be able to follow university procedures to investigate further. Well, I hope this guide has been some use, and I hope internal examiners will be able to follow the points in here. If there are any queries or apparent mistakes, please do get in touch with me, John Scaife, j.a.scaife@chef.ac.uk. Thanks for watching.